All right, just your regular attire for the afternoon. Page 29 in the Course in Miracles in the section called Fear and Conflict. Fear and conflict. Whenever you see a conjunction in the Course in Miracles, I've learned over the years that you could also just use it almost like a synonym. You could always say fear is conflict. Fear and conflict, fear is conflict. Yeah. And I want you to take a particular look at the last sentence, sentence 10 in paragraph 2 on page 29. Sentence 10, paragraph 2 on page 29. It says, whenever you are afraid, it's a sure sign that you haven't allowed your mind, to miscreate. And haven't allowed me to guide it. I'll say it again. Whenever you are afraid, it is a sure sign. Whenever you are afraid, it's a sure sign that you've allowed your mind to miscreate. Now it says and. So that's the same as saying, whenever you are afraid, it's a sure sign that you have allowed your mind to miscreate, which is to have not allowed me to guide it. Same thing. The Course is always saying the same thing in different ways. So whenever you are afraid, it just means you haven't allowed God to guide you. It's pointless to believe that controlling the outcome of misthought can result in healing. When you are fearful, it's the same thing as saying you have chosen wrongly. So when you read the Course in Miracles and it says, when you are fearful, comma, and then it says you have chosen wrongly, you could say when you are fearful means you have chosen wrongly. You could also say when you are fearful, you have chosen wrongly when you are afraid. When you are afraid, you have chosen wrongly. When you are afraid, you have chosen wrongly. What does that mean? It means when you are afraid, you have chosen wrongly. If you're afraid most of the time, then it entails admitting that you're choosing incorrectly most of the time.
Wow.
That's why people don't like it. Sure. Because we want to believe there's some justification for fear. We want to believe that there's some situation that fear really is good. And the truth is, fear is never justified. But that doesn't mean that when you choose for fear, you can't allow that fear to be used to take you beyond fear. So if you are in fear, that fear could be used to take you beyond fear, but you never had to be afraid in the first place. Fear is never justified. I want you to notice the different reactions that come up in you as I say things from the Course. Just be with them. Like if you feel some resistance come up, just feel it. Feel it. He says, when you are fearful, you have chosen wrongly. That's why you feel responsible for it. That's why you feel responsible for it, because you chose it. I feel responsible for my fear because I'm the one that's deciding to be afraid. I feel responsible for my fear because I'm the one deciding to be afraid. I am the one who's deciding for my fear because I'm the one that's choosing to be afraid. How do I know I've chosen wrongly? I am afraid. So what does that mean? It means I have not allowed God to guide me.
That's simple.
Name some area that people are afraid in. Anybody?
Money.
Money. Okay, so that person is afraid about their financial situation because they're not allowing God to guide them. Anybody else?
Safety.
Somebody that doesn't feel safe because they're not allowing love to guide them. I feel sick. I'm not allowing love to guide me. What I'm beginning to realize is that your peace is independent of the physical conditions that your body is in. So sometimes people think that you can't feel peace unless your body is perfect or perfectly healthy or everything is going perfectly well in your physical world. But the truth is, when you achieve true peace, there's nothing in your physical world that can disturb your peace no matter what you are going through. That when you achieve true peace, you could go to the doctor and the doctor could say, you got 6 weeks to live, and you wouldn't bat an eye. You would go, wow, I got 6 weeks. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can really enjoy that before I go on to my next adventure. You wouldn't be worried, you wouldn't be, how could I get healed really, really quick? When you really achieve true peace, there's nothing that could possibly be happening in your physical world that you wouldn't believe was part of the divine plan for your awakening. So there wouldn't be anything that happened that wouldn't be part of the plan to bring you happiness and peace and joy. in the long run.
Yeah.
It takes a minute to really get that the life that you're living right now is the plan that is unfolding for your awakening and your happiness. The friends you have now, the situation you're in now, this moment that I'm having right now with you. So, but if I'm afraid in this moment, does it mean that I am not allowing God to guide me?
Yeah.
According to this. Does it also mean I've chosen wrongly? What was the wrong choosing? The wrong choosing was choosing for anything other than peace. The wrong choosing was not, it wasn't talking about the thing that you were talking about doing. It's not, am I wrong because I chose to tell my boss that his breath really smelled bad? So are you saying I should go in tomorrow and tell? It's like, we're not even talking at that level. We're talking at the level of choosing for peace. You making a decision that you're not going to give your peace up for anything and anyone. Making a decision against fear. So then it goes on to say, you must change your mind. Then it says, comma. If you follow me in the book, it says, you must change your mind, comma. Then what does it say next? Not your behavior. So changing your mind has nothing to do with changing your behavior. Changing your mind has nothing to do with changing your behavior. This is not a class about how to change your behavior. This is not a class about changing behavior. This is not a class about changing behavior. This is not a class about changing your behavior. This is not a class about changing how you act. This is not a class about changing your behavior. This is a class that is about changing your mind. Changing your mind. This class is about changing your mind. It's not telling you to change your behavior. It's saying change your mind. And how can I change my mind? It says, well, that's just a matter of willingness. Are you willing to change your mind? Are you willing to change your mind? Are you willing? It's not about changing your behavior. He says the question is, are you willing to change your mind, Raj? Are you willing to change your mind, Earl? Are you willing to change your mind? Are you willing to change your mind? Are you willing to change your mind? Are you willing to change your mind, not your behavior? Don't go out of here today trying to behave differently. This is not about behavior. This is not about how you behave. Did I say this is not about how you behave? Okay. All right. And changing your mind is a matter of willingness.
Yeah.
Are you willing to change your mind? Okay. Then it says you don't need guidance. Now, the Course says stuff that kind of gets your attention. You do not need guidance. Except. So you have to watch those excepts in the Course. You do not need guidance except at the mind level. So, do you know your mind needs to be guided? Do you know your mind needs to be guided? Do you know your mind needs to be guided? That the only level that you need guidance on is at the level of thinking. The only level you need guidance on is on the level of mind. You only need to have your mind guided. Your mind only. This is one paragraph.
Yeah.
Correction belongs only at the level where change is possible. Correction belongs only at the level where change is possible. What level is change possible?
At the mind.
At the mind level. So that means so does that mean that the only level that needs to be corrected is the level of thought, the level of mind,
Yes.
according to this? Are we clear? It's not about me changing my behavior, it's about me changing my mind. It's not about you changing the behavior of someone. It's about changing your mind about them. There's no point in trying to change the world. There's no point in trying to change the world. There's no point in trying to change the world. There is no point in trying to change the world. There is no point in trying to change your world. You can only change your mind about the world. You can only change your mind about the world. You can only change your thinking about the world. You can only change your thinking about the world. You can't change the world. Nobody's ever been able to change the world. What makes you think you're going to be the first one? Nobody has ever changed the world. There's nobody that's ever lived that's ever changed the world. All we have to do is read in the book, just open our eyes, look at the paper, look at news, and you know that nobody has ever changed the world. Nobody has ever solved all the problems of the world. Nobody ever, at any time in history, has ever solved all the problems of the world. Nobody is going to. The Course says, save yourself a whole lot of effort. You're not going to change the world. You can only change your mind about the world. And in changing your mind about the world will change on its own. The course is about repetition, 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 repetition. That's why I'm doing it this way. It's not even, it's about like, wow, let me see if I can make this complicated, Earl. Let's see. The truth is, if I'm afraid I haven't let God guide my mind, I need to stop worrying about changing my behavior, and I need to change the way I think. Because it's only at the level of thinking that you can really change anything. So I need to stop trying to change my behavior. I need to change my mind. So it says change doesn't mean anything at the symptom level. Where is the symptom level? Where it cannot work. If you're watching in the book, I'm giving you some tips on reading this book that makes it really simple. I said again, change does not mean anything at the symptom level, comma, and then what's the last part of the sentence? Where it cannot work. So wherever it seems that wherever it seems like something's not changing, that's where you know you're dealing with the symptom. Wherever you feel like anything isn't changing in your life, you're looking at the symptom, and you can never change that. He says, at the symptom level, it doesn't work. At the symptom level, it doesn't work. At the behavioral level, it doesn't work. I can behave like I love you and still hate your guts. It's not the behavior level that changes anything. I can change my mind about you, and then I'm not acting like I love you. I'm behaving that way because my mind has changed. So behavioral level is not the level that you make change. And in the areas that it looks like there has been no change, that's the area that you're still dealing with it at the effect level. That's why so many people seem to be like, let's say at the level of the dream, this illusion we're living in, the money issue. Why is it that people think they don't see a change in that area? Because they think they can solve money problems with money. Or a relationship problem with another body. It's the same thing. You can switch as many bodies as you want. You can get as many different relationships, as many different people as you want. But if you bring the same thought system into each one of those relationships, you're going to create the same situation in a variety of flavors. It'd be ice cream, one time it's strawberry, vanilla, and if I'm lucky, maybe chocolate. So I did some chocolate lessons for people who like chocolate lessons. You like chocolate lessons? Chocolate. That's what I thought. I'm so glad.
I know.
I'm so glad.
I'm so glad too.
So, any comments about that paragraph? That was one paragraph. Yeah.
We're still innocent, right?
Okay.
No.
Yeah. Now, well, everybody except you. Everybody except you. You're the last one. We're waiting for you to get your act together so we can all go back to hell. But no, the truth is, there's nothing more important than the recognition of our innocence and always remembering that there's nothing we can do to change eternal innocence. The reason why is because then you take everything you do too seriously.
Yeah.
See, unless you realize nothing's at stake, then you can't really play the game of allowing your mind to be healed. You can't play this game and enjoy it if you really think you can lose. See, you have to get to the point that you know your innocence is just the way you are, no matter what you do. Then at that point, you'll be patient with yourself as you change your perceptions of things that you know you want to look at differently. Does that make sense? It's like for instance, I'm innocent whether I forgive my father or not for what I experienced through my father as a child. So I can forgive him in my own time, since the truth is, it's just when I decide to release myself, then I'll be ready to forgive my father, because I'm not going to forgive him until I'm ready to be free. See, once I understand that, the way you think about other people can imprison you in your own mind, then the only person you ever releasing in any form of forgiveness is yourself.
Wow.
And once I got that, now some people will go, well, if that's true, why don't I just forgive today? To me, that's not important. It's important that I know that I'm innocent, then I'll do it when I get ready. If I'm willing to deal with what I experienced in my grievance, then I'll keep my grievance as long as I want to. But what I got to stop doing is saying that anything that's happening to me is happening for any other reason other than it's my choice and my decision. That's the underlying truth that'll change everything. So yeah, by all means, remember that you're innocent while you're still having your perception corrected. Because your being loved by God is not at stake. Okay, there is no hell for you to go to. Well, as the course would say, you're already in hell. Don't know it, and you're trying to make you escape. Yeah. Anywhere where you think you could be harmed is hell. Anywhere that you think you could be afraid all the time, the Course in Miracles says, what did you think hell is? It would just be somewhere you're afraid all the time. Are you afraid here all the time? Then this is hell for you. You made this hell. Remember in Twilight Zone, I saw one time where this rocker died, and he woke up and he was in this room with this little couple, and they were sitting up there watching soap operas and shows on TV and variety shows, and he couldn't get out of there, and he was losing his mind because he had to watch that stuff, you know. And then he came to find out that he was in hell, but they were in heaven. Because that was their idea of heaven, was sitting cool, chilled out, watching variety shows together. So they were thinking, blissed out. They couldn't believe they were so blessed. He was in hell because that was the last thing a rocker wanted to hear was lost wealth or somebody like that. So what is that saying? It's all perception. And that's true here. It's all perception. Anybody else? This paragraph is loaded. Yeah.
So, like, okay, I'm glad you commented on what you commented on right now, because, like, when you were saying that, like, everything is planned.
It's so hard to take you seriously. I'm so glad.
Yeah.
I'm so glad of that. Thank you.
You're saying that everything is planned and everything, and, like, I still, one of the challenges, one of the old beliefs that I'm still holding on to and not letting go is the belief that, like, you know, everything hinges on, like, the decisions that I make.
They do.
Oh, they do?
Yeah. Yes, you're exactly right. Everything does hinge on the decisions and choices that you make. Even the decision to let the Holy Spirit decide for you, even the decision to let the infinite Creator decide for you is a decision.
But but then you're saying that, like, you know, like, I'm still innocent.
Yes.
And I'm still, like, you know, I'm still, like, love. And
nothing can change that.
Yeah, and so then, like, it's all right for me to, like, you know, like, because a lot of times I'm like, oh, well, you know I need to let this go, but I'm not letting it go, and then I get down on myself because I need to let it go. And
it's all a matter of motivation. You haven't seen yet clearly how it will be to your advantage to let it go. Okay. So it's really a perceptual thing again. Okay. You know, it's like if you have a relationship that ends, what's the difference between you being devastated over a long period of time about that relationship ending, or you're being very optimistic about the next wonderful thing that's getting ready to come to you? It depends on whether you're perceiving that change as for your own best interest, or whether you're seeing that thing as somehow benefiting you, or whether you're seeing it as a loss. So if you're seeing it as a loss, you're crying and you're suffering. If you're seeing it as somehow or another it's going to benefit you, you'll get over it so fast it'll make your head swim. The Course says all fear is fear of loss. All pain comes from the idea and the belief in loss. If you knew you had not lost, if you knew you could not lose, you would never lose your peace. Losing your peace comes from, at some level, believing something about a child of God can be threatened. It comes from you really, I want you to hear me, it comes from you really believing you are a body, you are just a human being, you are just a physical being that ends in death. All fear comes from that idea of our temporary nature. It comes from not knowing who we really are. So you'll be patient, because the only thing you're doing is learning how to recognize what's already happened. That's all you in this class for, to learn how to recognize the love that's already happening, the peace that's already happening. So you'll be patient with yourself in that process if you recognize you're never going to be destroyed, harmed, attacked, or punished, or that you're going to lose. It'll make you patient. The Course says that you're patient when you're certain of the outcome. Mm-hmm. You're impatient when you're not certain of the outcome. If you're certain of the outcome, you're patient. And you know what happens? As soon as you're patient, you have no fear, so you get an instant manifestation. It's a line there that goes, infinite patience produces immediate effects. So it's like if you're infinitely patient about something, there's no fear. Well, if there's no fear, there's no block to perceiving it. So it kind of sounds paradoxical. So how do you get infinite patience? You accept the victory from the very beginning. You accept that you are loved from the very beginning. You accept that you cannot lose the love of God from the very beginning. You accept that it's your destiny to know bliss and happiness as a child of love. Even though you don't see it right now, you go, that's the period at the end of that sentence. Now I'm going to walk along the words. Now I'm going to walk along the experiences.
So just really quick. Cause like I've been having experiences of like, where like I've been reading this stuff
Mm-hmm.
and I know this and like I've been like learning this stuff and like I feel like the Spirit of God in me.
Yeah.
But yet I still choose from my head, and so that's because
Because what?
like you said, I'm still not certain of the outcome, right?
Right. And you don't have to be. You don't have to be. If I love you, it doesn't really matter whether you realize it or not. It's still not going to change the fact that I love you. So it doesn't matter whether or not you understand this, get this, agree with this. And I don't know how to break it to you, but you're destined to be loved and to know you're loved and to be happy. It's just the way it is. Now, you can come up with everything you can think of to make yourself feel unworthy of it, and that's called the human life. And but that doesn't change the fact that you are not your body. You have a body. Your body is the way you chose to experience this experience of thinking that you're separate from yourself, who's sitting all around you, reflecting you back to you in various forms. Some of them you choose to judge. The minute you judge, then at that point you start less than, greater than, love, fear, pain. It all comes from judgment. And so all you're doing is learning how to let go of the judgment that causes the pain in your life. The effects, which is all the stuff you go through in your day-to-day reality, your family, your friends, your job, your bills, all that other stuff, that's just an effect. And it will change as you change your thinking. What would be a real change of thinking? A real change of thinking would be allowing God to guide you. Anything less than that is not a real change of thinking. It's just, anything else the Course says is just another way. He says what we do is we sit around all day trying to think of the better way to deceive ourselves again about what makes us really happy. So what we call our plans is the latest way that we've come up to deceive ourselves about where happiness is really located. And he said, whoa, I said, that's kind of cold-blooded, Jesus, but that's the truth. It's me trying to figure out how I'm going to make myself happy, which is me deceiving myself again, because my happiness doesn't come from anywhere but my real self and not the self that believes what the world teaches. So, let's see what the next paragraph is saying. Anybody else got a question to come out to anybody? Anybody?
I do.
Okay.
There's a lot of things I accept and just believe. I believe I make choices
Mm-hmm.
and have.
Mm-hmm.
But
Okay, you just wiped out all the rest of the
Right,
thing you
I know.
said in front of it. Okay, we just go,
No,
boop, so much for all that you just said. Okay, let's get to the real deal. This is what you really believe.
because I feel like, okay, I don't feel fear. Okay, because this is how I separated.
You don't feel fear.
Well, I do.
Okay.
But what the book talks about, when it talks about fear, this is like I said, I put it over here and go, okay, that's over here.
Mhm.
But what I can't get my hands around or put in to make sense is where does then the pain or loss come from? How does that fit in?
The pain and loss is the fear. The fear is fear of loss. Fear is the idea that you can lose.
But
Fear
you already
is
lost
the
it,
idea.
so why is it still fearful?
You've already lost it, but you're only remembering the loss. Forget the intellect. Don't try to figure this out. How do you feel? If you feel fear, accept that there's some level that you are feeling that you could lose, or else why feel the fear? Because whatever you're feeling right now, you're feeling it because of something you're thinking right now.
Is a possibility to correct the loss?
Is it what?
A possibility out here to correct a loss?
The answer is to turn to the Holy Spirit and ask the Holy Spirit to help correct the conditions that's bringing your fear about. Because once the condition that's bringing your fear about is healed, you will let go of your fear. So what is the condition that causes all fear? All fear. The condition that causes all fear is the belief that I'm separate, that I want to be separate. Mm-hmm. See, the Course is trying to go straight to the core issue. Mm-hmm. It's like dipping water out of a bathtub with a teaspoon when you try to deal with your individual things that you think you're upset about, which is okay. Or you could pull the plug in the bathtub and let all the water go out. So the Course is saying, I know you may not think that the problem that you're going through in your perception right now may be even down to your plumbing not working. I know you can't see the connection between your peace around that issue and the idea that you think you're separate from God. But I guarantee you, every fear, every conflict in any form or fashion that you have about anything It's coming from the idea that I think I'm separate from God, source, love, the oneness. So when you save time, the way you save time is to go, well, I'm going to deal with the core issue. The core issue is I'm feeling afraid. Why am I feeling afraid? Because I haven't allowed God to guide my mind. Why am I feeling afraid? Because I have the wrong perceptions and thoughts. And so therefore I need to have my mind corrected, my thinking corrected. How do I do that? The Course says to understand means to accept. So when you say you understand something, he says you're really just saying you accept it. Somebody said 1 and 1 is 2. You just accepted it. And when you accepted it and you could write that on a piece of paper, they said you got the right answer and I'm going to give you an A. Why did they give you an A? Because you remembered to share the answer that had been accepted. You remembered that the accepted answer was 1 and 1 is 2. My point in saying that is, if you were today to say, every problem I think I have is coming from the idea of separation, and I want the idea of separation corrected. How can the idea of separation be corrected? Put it in the form of a question. How can the idea of separation be corrected in my mind by the Holy Spirit in ways beyond my wildest imagination? You would begin to see changes in your life that will blow your mind. The challenge is we tend to not want to apply anything until we think we are guaranteed that it's going to work out beforehand. Mm-hmm. And so then we try to figure it out. Figuring it out is nothing but a reflection of your fear of having the problem solved. Figuring it out is just a reflection of your fear of having the problem solved. When you're not really ready to accept the love yet, you will be trying to figure it all out. It's just a delaying maneuver to keep you from being healed. Figuring it out is a delaying maneuver to keep you from being healed, because what's happening is that the answer is being given to us. It's being given. You're saying, what is my problem? The book said, you believe you're separate from God. No, I believe it's that my mother abused me when I was a child. Okay, how does that work for you? That's the symptom level. That's the physical level. Where did it all come from? How did it all originate? But the Course goes, I know you don't understand this, but the way it all originated was through the idea of separation. That's how all of it originated, was through the idea that you're separate from your source. You're separate from God. You're separate from love. He said, now, do you want the shortcut? The shortcut is, let me show you how to deal with that thought. And that's what it does. You know, like when you get in one of those figuring things like you were just doing, which is cool. I'm glad you asked. That is a trick of the ego to keep you from hearing and applying what you've heard. Because to apply what you heard, all you had to do was go, I am willing to look at it differently. All you had to say was, how can I see this differently? If you do that, then you actually have accepted the answer that God has given us, one of the answers, which is to ask to see it differently. So instead of me trying to figure out where the fear and the loss is located, because they're the same thought. Why would you be afraid of a bear charging you? You would think you were going to lose your life. Why would you be afraid of this moment? It's because you're worried about the past or the future. So when you say fear, well, why am I afraid of the future? I think there may be loss. Why am I afraid of the past? I think something about my past didn't benefit me. And maybe I'm feeling guilty or fearful. The Course teaches that people would rather say anything than that they're afraid. That we would rather say I'm angry, depressed, sick, broke. You name anything you'd like to say beside fear. Because a lot of times people say, well, I'm not really afraid. I'm angry, but I'm not really afraid. I'm sick, but I'm not really afraid. And the Course is saying to us, there's only two things we ever experience, love or fear, period. And I would go, well, that's not true. I feel a lot of other things other than fear. But actually, he got me to the point that I would go, wouldn't you rather think you just had one problem? Why do you want to have lots of problems? When you like to reduce all of your problems to just one problem, so that if you walked out of here today and at the very least you could say, I just got one problem that I'm working on, you'd be ahead of the game rather than saying, I got my problem with my children and my problem with my job and the problem with my body and the problem with my love life and the problem with my, you know what I'm saying? It's like he's saying, even if you couldn't solve the problem today, even if you didn't see the answer to the problem today, wouldn't it be great to just go, you got one?
Yeah, yeah.
Why would I want to not feel that was a benefit if I had to think I had any at all? Since I'm insisting on believing I have one. I really don't have any, but it sure looks like it. And that's what he says. Yes, because correction happens at the level of thinking. That's why you think you have a problem. Then the court says that unless the person tells us who's got to sacrifice or what's got to change outside of ourselves in order for the problem to be solved, he says we don't even hear the answer. So he said, I won't even hear the answer unless he says to me, this person is going to do this, and this on the outside is going to change this way. And unless you tell me who and what outside of myself has got to change or make a sacrifice or do, he said, we don't even hear the answer. Because we're so oriented that everything is on the outside of us and not the inside. So any answers that point to the inside, then we automatically go, but I don't get it. Because there's a part of you that's thinking that it's something you got to do on the outside. Or there's somebody on the outside. I have to fight that temptation all the time to look for people when I go into different situations that's going to make that situation a good time for me. I always find that I go through that temptation all day long. You know, the move is supposed to make me feel good. This gorgeous day is supposed to make me feel good. I keep telling myself that the thing that's triggering my happiness is something outside that's got to be okay. So therefore, if it's a blizzard today, then I got to feel bad. Because I've set it up that these are the good days, so the snowy days are the bad days. Then if it's a blizzard out there, I can't be as happy as I am today because I've already decided sunny days make me happy. And until I change my mind, I'm going to try to live in a place that there's a lot of sunny days. That's how I work both ends against the middle. Until I can change my mind, then I'll choose a sunny environment. And guess what? I'm not going to beat myself up because I'm not able to just have internal joy all the time. Right today. I'm afraid. Why am I afraid?
Chose wrongly.
Because I chose wrongly. Who have I not allowed my mind to be guided by if I'm afraid? Okay, and you could also use any word you want to use for any lack of peace. So it could be I'm angry, depressed. So don't feel like because I say fear, don't let your ego take that word and go, well, I'm not afraid of anything. Okay, whatever it is that makes you feel any lack of peace is fear. So when you say, it's like when you say lack of peace, it's harder to be in denial about how you feel. Like I could say to you, I'm not really afraid, but if I flip it around and go, oh, you're going to tell me you don't have any slightest lack of peace about anything, anywhere at all happening in your life. Then some people say no. Then if you don't see it in your world, maybe it's not for you. I don't know. And so I have to accept it for you to see it that way. But here's the catch too, though. If I'm part of you and I see some, you see some. That's no problem with the oneness thing. You know, it's like you can say you don't have a fear in the world, but if you look at me and I say I do, sorry, you do too. Because we are one mind. Sorry, your ego can't make you think you've separated yourself from everything and everybody around you because of your personal level of individual consciousness is now very enlightened. So therefore everybody else doesn't get it, but I got it. And I watched my spiritual ego do that. It'll go, oh, I have peace now, and I see everything in a state of oneness and harmony and peace. So evidently, you know, I really got it. And then somebody will say, I'm scared to death. You know, there's some part of my mind that thinks it's scared to death. If oneness is true, so either we're all scared to death or none of us are scared to death. The only thing that's impossible is that we be different. That's the only thing that's impossible, is that we be really different. If you can feel it, I can feel it. If you can feel it, I'm capable of feeling it. If you can do it, I'm capable of doing it. May not choose to, but I can do it, or have done it. Probably have done it because the course teaches that you only see the past. So if I only see the past, I'm always looking at what I've already done anyway. Have you're jealous. Have you ever been? No, that's a lie. You know it is. What am I doing in your life? Besides, do you just remember? Do you remember? I don't even remember exactly what I was doing 6 months ago, this day. So how would I remember 6 lifetimes? So the truth is, if I'm afraid, I'm just simply not allowing the truth to guide me. Isn't that gentle? So what is my job? To allow the blocks to be removed that allows me to be guided. It's just that gentle.
So Earl, so if we're of one mind then, well, this is a safe group and I feel I could trust you guys, so.
You're making a big mistake. I'm just going off. Go ahead.
So,
we're the main ones who need to learn forgiveness, boy. Your life is in danger. Why you think we're attracted to this class? We're the ones that got to learn how to forgive.
Yeah.
So, these past couple of months, I've been dealing with issues of being clingy and needy with people and being codependent. So then, are you saying that if we're of one mind, if I have that, then you have that?
Yes.
Really?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
I agree.
Wow.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Everybody who's never done that, raise their hand.
Yeah. Anybody that's never felt needy at any time in your perceived physical reality, please raise your hand.
Recently.
Yeah. Who's felt that way today? Who feels that way now?
Right.
I know. Sometimes when it looks like things are going great right now for you and it looks like the dream is going exactly where you want it to go and it looks to you like it's ridiculous to think there could be anything as anybody being unhappy because right now I'm happy because everything is going the way I want. But if your happiness is dependent on anything outside of yourself, it's an idol that you're going to cry one day about. I don't care how good it is to you today. If that thing is seen as the source of your happiness, you're going to cry one day because you're going to realize it's not. That's what I love about special love relationships. They're so beautiful in how people give you so much meaning for a while and then they can take it back. It's amazing. And you fall for it every time. And you'll say, this time is different. 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 This time, and the definition of insanity doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, but it's the exact same thing. Which is, this person's going to do it. This person is going to do it. This person is going to do it. This person is going to do it. That's what I mean by doing the same thing over and over again. This person can be a means for me to recognize that I'm loved. They can be, so they could be a witness to the truth about me. So it's cool to have relationships that are there to help you recognize the truth because they're going to do that anyway because they're always going to mirror back to you anything about yourself that you are trying to hide. Now, what you're supposed to do though is look at it as a thing of wonder and a thing of curiosity. Oh, look at my jealousy. Oh, wow. I did it really good that time. But no matter how jealous I am and how crazy I act, I'm still as God created me. I'm still innocent and go and watch TV. Or whatever you're going to do, go take your walk in the park. It's not about, oh, what I'm seeing in you is in me. And then you get into the, oh, it's like, oh, this is another thought, another point of view, another way. Something else I came up with. Interesting. All right, I ain't crazy yesterday. All right, I'm going to make another decision today for peace. And you go on. You let every day be sufficient unto itself. You let that day be gone. Yesterday is gone. You cannot not let go what's already gone anyway. So you don't have to worry about letting go of the past. Don't spend another day trying to figure out how to let go of the past. You cannot not let go what's already gone. Yesterday is already gone. It is not a struggle to let anything about your past go. It is actually over. Your childhood is done. You can go back there as many times as you want to and say you got to learn how to let go of your childhood, but your childhood already let go of you. Your childhood is already going about its business. I'm saying all this stuff so that I can remember it in here. Never forget that I always teach what I need to learn, y'all. That's the only thing I'm going to be teaching. Is some things in my life I need to realize was past and go and let it go. I have some fear, which means I'm not letting God guide me. Oh, I've been trying to change my behavior. I need to change my thinking. And I need to stop trying to deal with things at the physical effect level before I change my mind. I have the Holy Spirit change my mind about it. It's like it says in the next sentence. The correction of fear is your responsibility. It says, when you ask for release from fear, you are implying that the correction of the fear is not your responsibility. So that's what I said. You should ask, then what should I ask then? If I can't ask for the release from fear, then what do? He says, well, you ask for help in the conditions that brought the fear about. You ask for help in the condition that's making you afraid. You ask for help in the condition that's making you afraid. You ask for help in the condition that's making you afraid. And then the mind says, well, what is the condition that's making me afraid? The Course always anticipates what you're going to ask before you ask it. So when you're reading the book, you just keep reading and never go back to reread in order to try to understand what you just read better. It's a trick. It's not a book that you go, I'm going to read this over and over again until I understand this paragraph. You'll be reading that paragraph for the next 20 years. Because one day you're going to realize you understood exactly what the paragraph said. You just weren't ready to accept it yet. You know exactly what fear, for instance, you know exactly what fear is the same as loss. It's a matter of, do I want to accept that fear is the same as loss? It says to me that, relationships, as we learn to do it, is the chief weapon that is used to keep us from happiness. Now, if I'm not ready to change the way I do relationships, then I'm going to say, I don't understand that. That's the first thing I'm going to say. I don't understand what you just said. No, you understand what I just said. The way you do relationships based on the way that the world teaches you, which is to use anger and guilt to control and manipulate other people to keep them in your experience, will not work. Not imprisoning someone will not work. Not giving people the freedom to be who they are will not work. You understand that totally. But if you are afraid and a control freak, you can't hear it. And you'll say, I don't understand, because it's beyond your comprehension to do that in a relationship that you feel afraid in. Because the fear is, I'm afraid of loss. So when you say free the person, to me, that's like you're saying really lose them. Because I think the way that I got them is through my control. So I understand that you're saying love is freedom, but I'll say I don't understand that love is freedom because I'm not ready to give it yet. And if I fortunately find someone that's just as willing to imprison me, then we won't have a problem. Because then you have a relationship made in heaven. Because they want the same level that you want. That's great. That's beautiful. That's what I want. You want somebody that's an equal. You don't want to be in a relationship of unequals. Because somebody's going to end up mad at somebody. You need to join with an equal. If I'm the most jealous person in the world, don't send me the one with no jealousy. Because they're going to make me feel even worse. Because I'm going to be acting crazy. And they're going to be looking at me like, it's like, you know what? If I got it, you got it. Hello? If I need to go beyond it, you need to go beyond it. We're the same. If you walk out here today and go, everybody's the same as me. I'm the same as everybody. And you took that as the one thought with you all week long, you would see a transformation in your consciousness this week that would blow your mind. If you walked out here today, instead of saying, I'm different from everybody, if you were to say, we're the same, 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 whether they say it or not, whether they act like it or not, whether they agree with me or not, whether or not they say what I'm saying is crazy. We're the same, 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 we're the same. Even if I was to say to you, I never have those feelings and emotions. I would never come from that place. You can say that to me all you want. In my mind, I'm going, we're the same, we're the same. Why? Because if we're the same, then we're not in conflict. If we're different, we're in conflict. See the difference? One world is based on separation, the other one is based on oneness. It's two different worlds, two different perceptions. And that sounds crazy to those of us that have learned to believe that we're separate. We've learned to believe we're separate. So I don't expect everything that I'm saying to be something that people get, understand, or agree with. But we need to come together to be reminded of the truth, whether we believe it or not.
So then that's why I want to always analyze things because I'm not ready.
Right. The Course would say you want to destroy the meaning of what you just heard. The Course
I'm not ready for
but the Course says analyzation is just a way of fragmenting. It's like trying to recognize who I am by chopping me into 1,000 pieces and then going, and you go, who is that down there? Y'all wouldn't be able to recognize me if I was chopped into 1,000 pieces. Y'all would recognize me if I'm whole. So when you analyze everything, you're just trying to chop everything down in little bitty pieces so that you won't do it because you're afraid and you're innocent. And no matter how afraid you are, that's all right. You won't always be afraid. You're not going to lose. You're going to be okay. You're going to be okay.
Yay.
You're going to be okay.
Yeah.
But since I do believe in time, why should I waste it using it just to suffer in? I got all the time I need, but I'm glad to hear that, but I think I prefer to be at peace as soon as I could possibly choose. So how do I get there? I tell myself stuff like, all right, I'm afraid. It's a sure sign that I haven't allowed my Holy Spirit to guide me. When I leave out here today, I should not be worried about how I behave. I should be more conscious about what I think, what I believe, how I'm seeing things. How can I change my mind? Well, I'm not going to change my mind until I'm really willing. It's really a matter of willingness. So really, what I need to be working on is my willingness. The Course says, don't trust your good intentions. Don't spend time trying to trust your good intentions. It says your good intentions are not enough. Because it said it point blank in the book. I know y'all love this thing about your good intentions. He said, don't trust your good intentions. Think about how much stuff has happened in your life that wasn't too cool as a result of good intentions. The Course says, trust your willingness no matter what else may enter. In other words, you know what, y'all? I am willing to change my mind. I trust that I am going to continue to be willing to change my mind so that I can love you and love myself more. I'm trusting that I really am willing to be free and aware and loved and loving. And I'm willing to have that complete, perfect happiness that the Course says the Holy Spirit. See, I'm working on my willingness. Forget the good intentions. To forget me behaving like a nice guy. Forget all that stuff. I just want to stay willing to practice the truth. Willing to focus on God. Willing to keep studying. Willing to keep meditating, willing to keep changing my mind about being guilty. See what I'm saying? That's where my attention is going, not to all the effect behavioral stuff. I'm not going to change. It doesn't matter who's elected on Tuesday. You're still going to have the kind of life you decide to have. I don't care who's in the White House. It's not going to have one iota of effect on your life. And with that said, if the Holy Spirit guides you to vote, vote. So it sounds like a paradox, but it's not. But don't fool yourself into thinking that anybody in office has any real effect on your happiness at all. You know, we like little children. Let's run to the Democrats. They're going to say, oh, they didn't. Let's run to the Republicans. They're going to say, oh, they didn't. Let's run to the Democrats. They're going to say, oh, they didn't. Let's go to the Independents. They didn't do it either. Let's go back to the Republicans. Let's go back to the. Y'all know that's the game we play. It's like little children. It's like I'm looking for somebody outside of myself to make me happy. Wah! You didn't do it. I'm kicking you out. And so the Course is saying, guess what, boys and girls? It's time to grow up now. It's time to become spiritual adults. It's time to get past the fairy tales. You are the creator of your experience. You are the powerful one. It's your choices that's determining everything that's happening to you. I don't care if you're white, black, young, old, poor. I don't give a hoot. It's still you that has the power of decision. You that's determining how you see things. And that's the best news I could ever hear. That means I'm not a victim and I'm not trapped in whatever situation I think I'm going through right now. It could change for the better. Where if it was dependent on you, then I got a problem because now I got to influence you and get you to act right and treat me right and do what I want. But if it's like, okay, maybe I am suffering a little bit right now, but it's my decision. My decision not to listen to guidance. You mean I could change my mind and then I could have a new perception of the world? Doesn't have anything to do with getting anybody else around me to cooperate with me or even believe it with me? Woo! That feels a lot better to me than I got to change you all and all my relatives and all my friends and everybody in the world, then I'll be happy. Which one do you want to go for? But what you just heard is the hardest truth for anybody on the spiritual path to accept. And you think it would be the thing people would be the most excited about. That you are doing it to yourself is the hardest statement that any person ever accepts on a spiritual path, because then it completely wipes out every excuse for pain and suffering that you have. Then you go, well, how do I do that? Holy Spirit says, I've been waiting for you to ask for help. I've been waiting for you to turn to something greater than your own mind and your own ego. Welcome to the easier journey. Thank you for listening to this much with me today. You don't have to applaud. I know it's a part of y'all that hate everything I said and a part that love it. That's okay. That's all right. Everything's cool. It's cool. I need to hear it. I want to love you more. I want to let go of the blocks in my experience. And I don't want to blame anybody else for what I'm going through anymore.
Yeah. Wow.
Me too.
You know, anybody else?
Me too.
Yes.
Y'all, anybody else? Anybody else? Okay. All right. It's okay to be enthusiastic about the change you want to make in your life. It's quite. It's permissible, right?
Mercy.
You know.
Ooh, fear goes with Halloween.
Goes with the Halloween.
Yeah. Ghosts.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, there's nothing you can do that can change eternal love. There's nothing that you can do can change eternal love. There's nothing that you can do that would keep the universe from not loving you, supporting you. There's nothing you can do to make yourself lose. You have already won. If you want to use the term win. It's nothing you can do can change the outcome. Nothing you can do can change the outcome. The outcome is going to be joy. The outcome is going to be love. The outcome is going to be peace. There's nothing you can do to change the outcome. Okay? Now I'm going to say that over and over again. You are going to experience love. You will experience love in relationships. You will experience every single thing that you choose to experience, because that's your nature as a child of God, is that you are a creator. And you will always experience what you choose to experience. Now, the difference between whether it's something that's fun or not is in direct proportion to the acceptance of your innocence and your acceptance of the responsibility of what you are perceiving and experiencing. So all I have to do is go, wow, that relationship was a train wreck. Boy, that was really cool. Wow, that was curious. I did that better than I ever done it like that way before. Wow, it's like a kid. Look at it like you are a kid, that you are playing, that you are learning how to create. Look at it as the most loving game you could have ever chosen to have. And then as things come up, you won't freak out and you won't mind going within and asking for guidance. What would it take for peace in this situation to show up? Take this from me. Look upon it, judging it for me. Don't let me see it as a sign of sin and death. Don't let me use this situation for destruction. The Course has all these little prayers inside that you're supposed to say when different things come up in order to transform your perception of it. That's the other cool thing about the book. Anything you can think of, it has a way of looking at it that will give you peace that's available to you to use. But it's not going to be something that you make up when it's right there for you in the curriculum. You don't have to make up the things to say to change your life. You don't have to make up the new thoughts that you need to come up with. They're in the book. They're in the curriculum. They're already written out. They're in there. Like, this is what you say when you feel sick. You know, what I experience, I will make manifest. If I'm guiltless, I have nothing to fear. I choose to testify to the acceptance of my atonement, which is the innocence, not to its rejection. I would accept my guiltlessness by making it manifest and sharing it. Let me bring peace to God's Son from his Father. Let me bring peace to God's child from God. You can change it up if you got a hard time with the words. As he says, as long as you don't lose the content, don't lose the purpose beneath that. And it sounds like incantations, but they work. It's a trip. I can't tell you how many times I've used these sayings in total faithlessness, and still saw the result happen. Because if it's the truth, it doesn't matter if you believe it or not. If it's the truth, it doesn't matter if you believe it or not. It's still the truth. So the truth is, you are cool. You are incredible. You are powerful. You are loved. You are free. That's the truth. That's what I need to be reminded of. And that's what I'm reminding you of.
Thank you, thank you.
So, I love you. So have a good time out there in the dream. Nobody's doing it to you. And remember, you are innocent, no matter what. But you know, he said the biggest problem we had with that innocent thing was that it meant it to a part of us that was somebody else we didn't want to see that way. That it's not really so much we don't want to accept our innocence, that actually it's some other people we don't want to accept their innocence, and that's why we don't jump on it when it says we're innocent. Think about that for a minute. Yeah, it's really I don't want to see that person that I thought hurt me as innocent. So I would rather not see myself as innocent if I think it's going to pardon you.
Yeah.